Hello children and welcome to the session today. We all have been learning about food from our junior classes. We know that food contains various nutrients and these nutrients perform different functions in the body. They are used for providing energy, they are used for bodybuilding and growth, and they are also using fighting and preventing diseases. The process of utilizing these nutrients by the body is known as nutrition. There are two modes of nutrition in almost all kinds of plants and animals that we see around us. The first is autotrophic mode of nutrition, and the second is heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Autotrophic mode of nutrition, as the name suggests, means self, nutrition by self. Plants prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis, and they utilize this food to not only survive themselves but also provide energy to human beings and animals. Human beings and animals, on the other hand, have a heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Heterotrophic mode of nutrition is where the organism is dependent on other forms of life for gaining energy. Now, let us understand the different modes of heterotrophic nutrition in animals. Based on their eating habits, the animals can be divided into three categories. The herbivores. Herbivores are plant-eating animals, or the animals that eat grass and other plant products. For example, cow, buffalo, deer, panda, etc. Carnivores are meat-eating animals like lion, fox, wolves, etc. They depend on smaller animals for food. The third category is omnivores. Animals like bears, raccoons, etc. eat both plants and plants products, and they also eat smaller animals. Having learnt about different food habits of animals, let us understand the different modes by which they take in food. Animals like birds and bees use sucking as their mode of intake of food. Animals like frogs have a sticky tongue which they shoot out to catch their prey. Carnivorous animals have got sharp teeth that they use to bite and tear into the flesh of different animals. Animals like ducks and whales have got teeth with spaces in between. Once they gulp in the water seeps out of the teeth and the food remains behind. Next, we learn about nutrition in animals. In all these cases, we have understood that mostly it is taking enough solid food, and the form of nutrition in which the animal takes in solid food is known as holozoic mode of nutrition. Holozoic mode of nutrition, in which an animal takes in solid food, requires a number of steps through which the utilization of that food takes place. Let us now understand these steps one by one. The first step is ingestion of food. The ingestion of food, as we have learned from the various examples here, may be by sucking or just gulping down the food. The next step in the process involves digestion of food. Digestion of food means breaking down the food into smaller particles. Digestion of food takes place by two ways. It is mechanical and chemical digestion, which we are going to learn a little later. The next step is absorption of digested food. Now that the food is digested and the nutrients are released from the food, they have to be absorbed by the body. And before they have to be absorbed by the body, it is important that the nutrients are supplied to various parts of the body, which happens during the process of assimilation. The food that is now left over, the food from which all the water and the nutrients have been absorbed, is waste food. The process of throwing out this waste food is known as egestion of food. Now, let us understand the various modes of nutrition in smaller animals like amoeba, hydra, mosquito, paramecium, and frog. Amoeba, as you can see, is a unicellular organism. When amoeba spots a prey, it gives out false foot. These false foot are known as pseudopodia. The pseudopodia engulf the food that the organism has located. They give out digestive enzymes and digest the food and absorb the nutrients. The next example is hydra. A hydra has got tentacles on its top. These tentacles catch the prey, give out a sticky fluid that kills the prey, and they simply ingest it through their mouth. The digestive juices later on act on the ingested food and break it into soluble, absorbable nutrients. Then we come to frog. As we have already studied, a frog has got a very sticky tongue which it uses to catch its prey. Then the frog has got a very well developed digestive system which digests the food particles. Pause. Repeat. The frog has a very well developed digestive system which digests this ingested food into smaller absorbable particles. The unicellular organism Paramecium has got cilia all over its body. These cilia are sticky here. The cilia not only catch the food, they also transfer the food inside the body of the Paramecium, and the food is then digested by soluble digestive juices. The next example that we will learn here is of mosquito. A mosquito, as we all know, sucks blood from the human and the animal body. It gives out a long tube which is called proboscis, used to suck out the blood. Then we understand about the housefly. The housefly also lives on liquid food. The housefly uses its saliva to dissolve the food and then absorbs it. Now, based on the food habits of different animals, we will now understand how the teeth in different animals are formed. When we talk about animals who are herbivores, we understand that they feed only on plants and plant products. These animals have got flat teeth. When we talk about carnivores, we understand that carnivores are animals who feed on smaller animals. So carnivores have very sharp teeth. Now, based on these food habits, an organism may have a single set of teeth inside their mouth. As you can see here, all the teeth are similar to each other. Such a set of teeth is known as homodont. As in case of omnivores, animals who have both plants and animals, we can see that there is a difference in the teeth in the front and at the back. These are known as heterodont set of teeth. Man is the best example of heterodont set of teeth. Let us understand about the teeth in human beings. All human beings have a basic set of 32 teeth. Now let us understand in detail what these teeth are and what are their functions. There are front 4 teeth in either of the jaws, the upper jaw and the lower jaw. These teeth are known as incisors. They are biting teeth and they are 8 in number. On either side of incisors, both in the upper jaw and in the lower jaw, are canines. Canines are biting teeth. Right next to the canines in the upper jaw and the lower jaw are 2 premolars. Premolars are flat teeth. They are used for grinding and chewing the food. And right next to the premolars are molars, which are again chewing and grinding teeth. And this entire set of human teeth is known as permanent teeth. When a baby is born, the first teeth that the baby grows are called milk teeth. Permanent teeth start coming from the age of 7 to 8 years. Coming next to toothache and gum diseases. In case we do not brush our teeth, then there is a yellow sticky substance called plaque which is developed on our tooth. Plaque contains sugar and hence it contains a lot of bacteria. These bacteria dissolve the calcium in the enamel, leading to weakening of the tooth. We can see tiny holes in teeth which are not clean and teeth which are infected with plaque. Gradually and slowly, the tooth becomes very weak and it eventually falls off. Having understood the different type of teeth in the human body, let us now understand how digestion of food takes place inside the humans. Digestion of food is a very complex process in the human body. Let us now understand the 2 kinds of digestion. The first one is mechanical process of digestion. Mostly mechanical process of digestion takes place inside the mouth. It involves the physical breaking down of food into smaller particles. The next type of digestion is known as chemical process of digestion. As we all are aware that there is saliva in the mouth. We all need to know that this saliva contains a very important digestive enzyme that breaks down food into simpler molecules. So we can very comfortably say that digestion of food begins in the mouth. We also know that the tongue also has a very important role in digestion of food. Our tongue rolls the food, mixes it very well with the saliva and helps it to move from one side to the other, because of which the food is very readily digested, very readily chewed and ground into a fine paste. Now this paste moves down the esophagus. As we can see, the esophagus or the food pipe is a long tube that connects the mouth to the stomach. The process by which the food goes down the esophagus is known as peristalsis. This peristalsis movement contains the contraction and expansion movement which enables the food to go down smoothly. Now, once the food has reached the stomach releases many enzymes. Pepsin begins to digest the proteins that are present in the stomach. The stomach also contains hydrochloric acid that destroys the bacteria and acidifies the food. This enables the other organs to digest the food very smoothly further on. From the stomach, as we can see, the food goes down to the intestine. The human body has got two intestines, the small intestine and the large intestine. The small intestine is connected directly to the stomach and it is divided into three, the duodenum, the jejunum and the ileum. The digested food that leaves the stomach and enters the small intestine is known as chyme. This chyme is acted upon by digestive juices that come from the pancreas and the gallbladder. The gallbladder releases bile juice that helps in the digestion of fats, and the pancreatic juices help in the digestion of carbohydrates and proteins. It is interesting to note that carbohydrates are digested into simple sugar known as glucose. The proteins are digested into amino acids. And the fats are digested into fatty acids and glycerol. These are the simple substances that are readily utilized by the body. They release energy and they perform the different functions that we have studied, which include bodybuilding functions and protective functions. Coming to the large intestine. After all the food has been utilized and all the nutrients have been absorbed, the undigested food is pushed into the large intestine. But here also in the large intestine, water and minerals are further absorbed. Any remaining nutrients are further absorbed from the large intestine and the undigested food is passed out through the anus in the form of stool. There is a very interesting question that comes to the mind of many children. While we are swallowing the food, can we breathe? The mouth contains the windpipe and the food pipe at the end of it. The windpipe is protected by a tiny flap. The minute you open your mouth to put in food, that flap closes so that when you are ingesting food, the food goes only into the esophagus and not the windpipe. This is the reason it is always advised that you must not talk while eating food. That is the reason you get choked. We have understood that carbohydrates, proteins and fats are broken down into simpler substances and absorbed into the bloodstream. But what about the roughage that we eat? It is not absorbed in our body. Then what about the herbivores? They survive only on plants and plant products. How do they digest this roughage or the plant material that they eat? This is the reason herbivores have got a very complicated digestive system. The herbivores eat plant and plant products that are rich in cellulose, and cellulose is very difficult to digest. It requires a lot of chewing. That is the reason you must have seen that cows, buffaloes and goats when they're sitting idly, they bring back the swallowed food to their mouth and they chew it again. This is the reason they are also called ruminants. Now coming to the stomach of the ruminants. The stomach of the ruminants is divided into 4 compartments. The first compartment is called the rumen. The chewed food comes into the rumen. Here, the bacteria and protozoa act on the cellulose, breaking it down a little further. From here, the food goes into the second compartment, which is known as the reticulum, and the cellulose is further broken down. From the reticulum, this broken food comes back to the mouth for chewing a second time. Hereafter, the food goes back again into the rumen, to the reticulum, to the third compartment, which is known as omasum. Omasum absorbs the excessive water from this chewed food and sends it to the final compartment of the stomach, which is known as abomasum. Abomasum is the true stomach of the herbivores, because here, due to enzymatic action, all the food is broken down. And just like in human beings, the waste food is thrown out of the body by a process which is called defecation. Like we have studied in plants, that the glucose is carried from one part of plant body to another with the help of phloem. Here in the human body and the animal body, the smaller, simpler nutrients are carried to different parts of the body by a process which is called transportation. And this is done by the blood in the human body. We also need to understand that when we breathe in oxygen, these nutrients are burned to produce energy. So in this chapter, Animals and Their Food, we have understood the different categories of animals, the herbivores, the carnivores, the omnivores, the different modes of taking in nutrition. We have done a detailed study of the process of digestion in human beings, which includes processes like ingestion, digestion, assimilation, absorption, and egestion. We have also understood the role of different organs in this entire process. And in the last, we have learned about the digestive system of herbivores. Thank you.